Let's work on the visual query builder. But first, let's review the graph schema. We have a customer, which has a name. Then we have a demographic vertex. For example, for some customer, they might come with their family, or they might be single tourist, and each customer belongs to one demographic. And one customer can have a favor in a certain feature. The feature can be a French restaurant, German restaurant, Italian restaurant. And for the product, for example, it could be a certain French restaurant. And for each restaurant, they have a type. Um, and for the context, it could mean the weather or the time of the day that people usually visit this certain product or restaurant. And finally, each customer has a affinity score to a certain feature. For example, Alice particularly likes French restaurants. And we are going to use all this information to create a new graph pattern and call it rank product. So for this pattern, we want to recommend the highest rated restaurant for a certain customer while taking into account of the weather and the time of the day. First, let's pick some patterns. I'm going to need customer and feature, and we're going to need the product. And lastly, we need to take into account of the context. Okay, let's press Shift and use the merge widget to merge these two vertex patterns together. Right, let's see. It's a linear pattern, a three-step linear pattern. Let's start from the customer. Let's give it a parameter and call it P. Right. Let's rearrange the patterns for a bit. Okay, and second, let's give the context a parameter and call it C. Because we want to calculate the highest rated score for a certain restaurant, we're going to use the affinity attribute of the customer feature edge. So we need to give it a alias CF first. And next, we're going to use the aggregation function, which is the average. Next, we're going to select the attribute of a certain edge, which is the customer or feature affinity, and then we give it a name, average affinity. Right. And with this aggregated score, we want to order them to select maybe the highest 3 restaurants. So we want to order the in descendant order of the average affinity, and limit the output to be 3. Right. And for the output, we are curious about the feature and the product. So let's save the pattern and run it. So for the parameter P, let's input C001. And for the context, we input GW, which is the good weather. All right. So here's the result. Okay, this is a better view. So let's see. So there are 3 restaurants. So for the first one, the score is 12, second one 8, last one 4. All right.